Hey, good morning. Welcome to Pour Over Marketing. I'm Rob Southgate. I think you know that. It's in the title. So, okay, looks like I've got my set up a little bit funny here. And in fact, I'm going to close that window or the blind, because I think we're getting a little too much glare. It's too bad. It would have been nice to have a little natural light in here. But what can you do? So, all right, we're here and our stream is going. I am really excited to get going today. I hope we have lots of questions. I know that I've got lots of ideas. We just got back from a trip that was impromptu. This is actually some really interesting marketing. This is something that might hit home for some of you. Actually, I'm going to framework it a little bit. One of the projects I'm working on right now is I'm helping a film that got distribution. I'm helping them run their street team for Chicago. So the movie is called For Profit, and it is. I hesitate to just say faith-based because a lot of people go like, "Oh, like that has a connotation," but actually, it's kind of like if you ever saw the movie Oh God. When I was a kid, that was a huge movie. Same kind of thing. It's faith-based. I mean, it's about God and angels, right? Same thing here, but it is not one of those Kirk Cameron, you know, hallmarky faith-based type of movies. It's actually good and funny and shot well, and so anyway, this film, I like it quite a bit. So we're having the red carpet on the 12th, and then we're having the premiere on the 21st. The reason I'm saying that is I want everybody listening to go see this thing. If you've got people that you think would enjoy it, take a group. We need to fill the theaters, especially the first 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Anyway, with this, we've been doing a lot of marketing things, and we're talking about like when we send notices out, when we start really pushing things. And I've been talking to them about how there's different things happen at different times. You have to think about when is the best time to do this. As entrepreneurs that are playing the waters with marketing, a lot of times we think, hey, I've got an idea and I need to push that out into the universe right now, right? I've been guilty of it too. I can't wait. I can't wait to share this thing. But the reality is you have to actually kind of create a strategy. When do the posters go up? When do I send an email? What type of email? Am I creating a funnel for the email? What is my, well, we talked about on here a lot. What is my goal? Right? I've got a goal I have to hit, but there's going to be multiple goals. So when is the best time to do something with these goals? Timing is everything. And one of the things I've talked about a lot is this is an event. And that last push, the one where you invite people personally, it's good to have a save the date, get something out there early. But really, the bulk of your, hey, this is the event, come to this event, seems to be at the 0 hour. When we would do our podcast marathons, we would promote it all month. We've got one coming, we got one coming, we got one coming. And then what I would find is probably 90% of the activity where people were like, oh yeah, I want to go to that, happened in the last maybe 36 hours. Does that mean you shouldn't do anything before the 36 hours? No, you should. Your critical message is right at the end. And it doesn't have to be 36 hours. It could be like 10 days before, 8 days before. Pick a target time that you're going to do it. But no, that's when the big push, where I tip you in, where I do the call to action that makes you go, oh yeah, okay? And I got to say, the people I'm working with, it's marvelous. I've got social media people I'm working with. I've got a PR person. I mean, I'm just knocked out by this team. Absolutely fantastic people. Their heads and hearts are in the right place around the whole thing. I think we're going to do extremely well with it. It feels very grassroots, but you've got distribution in movie theaters for something. It's hard to get that. They've won a bunch of awards with this. This has mojo behind it, but now it's got a really good team that really knows what it's doing. Anyway, as I'm talking about this idea of timing, right? When we would do our podcast marathons, we would have that last minute push. That's where people would buy tickets, or for us would say, confirm that they're going, or go, oh yeah, that's this weekend, right? For this show, I've been experimenting with when I post it. I've noticed for the Thursday night, if I post it really early, it gets more activity. For Saturday morning, if I do it more than a day or so before, it's like people go, oh yeah, and then they forget what day of the week it is. It just kind of goes away. So last night was the first time that I posted this, and I did get a little activity. I think I may have gone a little bit too late on it. That's okay. I mean, I've got a schedule. It's always every Saturday morning, so people should know. But you know what? They don't, or they forget about it. I'm guilty of it too. What I'm surprised by here is I don't have anybody commenting. I've had people inside watching, but nobody commenting yet. They're missing out on the gold. That's okay. That's okay. You'll watch it later. You'll want to comment later, but I won't be able to answer it live. That's what happens. So anyway, timing is very important. Having a strategy for what you're doing. I know a lot of times we talk about overall marketing, but today I want to kind of talk about events and specific things. Now, an event doesn't have to be something giant. You don't have to be saying, we're going to do a block party for our businesses and we're going to do this big thing. It can be, hey, I'm having a sale on pillows. I own a business where we sell bedding, and I'm having a pillow sale. Great. You want to let people know. You want to let them know early, but always think of it like a wedding. You're giving them a save the date. You're making them aware. That's where you're putting all the Lego pieces out on the table and kind of building something. But then it's that last 36, 24 hours. For you, it might be 4 days where you have to do the push where you feel like, crap, I'm annoying. You're not. It's okay. You're doing a Kickstarter. You're telling everybody about it. You're trying to get people in there early. 10 days before, really be pushing people to sign up to be notified when your Kickstarter is going out. Before that, you're going to get people that'll, you're going to catch some fish. But that's the time, that 10 days or so where you go, okay, I know I've got 10 days worth of ideas and content and things I can do to really tip this in and do it to the point, not where you're posting the same thing over and over. That's not going to work. Do something different. Have lots of ideas that you're going to jam into that pipeline for the last go just before the event, just before the thing you're really trying to get people to do. Because people's memories are short. They have to hear things like 8 times before they even register what's up, right? When it comes to an event, yeah, you see a concert's coming and hey, I've got to get these tickets, but they usually give you a little warning like tickets go on sale blank day. And if you notice, like on Facebook, you'll notice let's say U2 is coming to town and that's going to sell a ton of tickets. Well, they want to sell out as fast as possible, right? So maybe 5 days before the concert, every time you open Facebook, there's an ad for it. Tickets go on sale noon on Friday. And you keep going noon on Friday, noon on Friday, noon on Friday. They're creating that buzz and they're creating that need for it, but they're not doing it too early because if you do it too early, oh yeah, tickets go on sale on this date. You'll catch a few fish, but people get like, I've seen this 1,000 times. It's also giving them time to say, oh, I don't have that urgency within me. So yeah, I'll be able to get these tickets. They must have a ton to sell because they're promoting it way early. That's not really how it works. So the reason I bring all this up also is our trip. So earlier in the week, we had the 3 of us were out. I don't know what we were doing. We might have gone to dinner or something. And we got in the car and I had a notice on Instagram and I opened it and it was nothing. And I flipped over to where it was, out of the messages, and there was an ad that this band that we love was doing a music video, and if you wanted to be in the music video, you need to send in your information. And it's a band that Molly loves. We all love it, but Molly's like, it's one of her like big three, I would say. And they get in the car and I said, "Hey, Molly, did you see this thing from this band?" And she goes, "I just did." I said, "Sign up for it." She goes, "Okay, we'll do it when we get home." I said, "Nope, sign up for it now, right now." So she did. And then she said, "Hey, I signed you up too." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." Within 5 minutes, it was taken down because they had enough people. So we happened to see it in that little 5-minute window, right? Now, in this case, they knew there would be interest. They knew when we wanted to try to fill this, but they also knew it was limited. So they didn't start telling you months before, weeks before, "Hey, we're going to put this up." They knew it's noon. We're going to put this up. It's probably going to be filled. So watch it. So the second that we've got enough, pull it out of there. And that's what they did. And that was like on, I don't know, Monday or something. We went, "Oh, now we got to go to Omaha to be in this video." So Molly and I are in a music video for a band, but we have an NDA, so we're not supposed to talk about it. Uh, it was funny. People in Omaha seemed to know that it was happening, but they made us say we can't take pictures, we can't say anything yet. So we're like, okay, we'll honor that. But yeah, we ended up in this music video. Now, will you see us? I don't know. They said they tried to get everybody. I didn't care if I was in it, but I really want Molly to be featured in it. I really want a shot of her in it. It would be two different music videos that she's been in, and both with bands that we really like. And how cool is that to be in a music video for one of your favorite bands? Uh, Very cool. And the only heartbreaker is the assistant director came out and he asked her to be this one thing in it. He was like, "Hey, I want you to do this," which would have been kind of a featured spot. And we're like, "Oh, cool." It never got there. It never happened. So that's too bad. But he said, "I'm sure I got you guys. I'm sure I got a good shot of you." They were right by us the whole time. So I would imagine that she's going to show up in there. Let's hope. Uh, oh, okay. I'm just looking at comments here. So timing is everything. Timing is really important. How does that equate to what you do, what you're trying to market or launch? Like I said, if you have a Kickstarter, you can go into it and just, "Hey, we're doing," I know I'm guilty of this. "Hey, I'm doing a Kickstarter." We make a decision, we build the thing out, and we just start pushing it out there. And yeah, we were smart enough to do countdowns to create urgency so that when it launched, boom. But now I look back on it and I say, you know what? We did all that right, but we actually didn't have the right goal. We had the goal of it's going live, sign up immediately. What we didn't have was the goal of sign up for this so that it's for our notification, get in there, like really pushing that and say, get in there and be in the first 10 people, first 30 people, and get something special, because what that does is it stimulates it. It makes more people, like, it catches fire. It makes more people get involved in it. And it also tells the algorithm for BackerKit or Kickstarter or whatever it is, hey, this is one people are interested in. And it helps get you on that featured page. When you go to Kickstarter, there's like featured ones right on the front, right? You want to be there. And the way you do that is having people sign up through their thing early. The more of those you have, let's say you get 200 people that sign up, chances are they're going to put you on featured on an upcoming Kickstarter. Okay. If it floods and it gets 50% of its backing in the first 10 minutes, you're going to end up on its algorithm. Now, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm saying that, like, yeah, this is generally how it works. Uh, Very interesting. So many people said they were interested in this, and here I am talking to you as if you were live with me. But there's nobody in my chat. This has never happened. I wonder if we've got a streaming issue. I don't get notified on that, so I don't know. Let's see if it shows. Nope. Nope. It's there. All right. Not going to worry about it. And somebody's already been sharing it. Very interesting. So, other things to talk about while we're in Nevada. No, Nevada. Wow. Omaha. We went to this coffee shop. Uh, guy that owns a record store, Grapefruit Records. Big shout out to Grapefruit Records. If you're in Omaha, go to Grapefruit. Oh no, that shows a thumbs down. That should not be there. He recommended this coffee place called Archetype Coffee. He said he's won a barista award and that it is unbelievable. He was right. It was fantastic. Maeve and Molly got me my own mug, home of the fourth best barista in the world. They're not kidding. It's really, really fantastic. I love the mug. I took all sorts of pictures inside. And in fact, I had a bit of an epiphany when I was in there. I haven't kicked on social media for this show for what I'm doing now with New Media Lab. I haven't kicked all that stuff in. But with the new Southgate Media Group, I have to. Requirements for what we do require me to have a strategy and to have some things in place to do. So I'm doing it. And I had a bit of an epiphany. I've struggled with this forever. One of the most popular things I've done on Instagram is when we called it Coffee Palooza, and we would travel and we'd go to coffee shops, and I would take pictures of their mugs and their shirts and the inside of the place, and because I just love it all, right? And it's all the marketing around it. And if I post a picture of me holding a cup from their place, then I would hashtag it, coffee addict, blah, 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 all these different hashtags. Those would be the most dealt with posts. They would get the most activity, lots of likes, lots of comments. You've seen it on here when I've talked about certain coffee places when we visit, Minneapolis or whatever, and I'll mention a place. You'll see in the comments people say like, "Oh, that has to go on my list. I'm going to Minneapolis. I'm going to Cleveland. I'm going to whatever. Ooh, I'm going to have to make a trip to try that." Okay, so for whatever reason, when I talk about coffee stuff, it seems to motivate people. The reason would be there's a lot of you all out there that are coffee addicts like me and love a great cup of coffee, which this is. Once again, it's Archetype Coffee. Go there, then head over to Grapefruit Records and buy yourself some vinyl from just great people. Great people. So I started thinking about a strategy or not even a strategy, a concept for what I'm going to do with some of the social media. And one of the things I'm going to do is maybe make it, I haven't decided yet, so don't hold me to this. I think I'm going to do like Coffee Shop Friday or something like that, where on a specific day of the week, I post some of these pictures I've been taking, pictures of inside coffee shops, of the mugs, the whatever, just let that be, because I talk about the marketing of coffee places a lot. I've even thought about expanding that out already and doing the things I do. So like maybe it's Thursday travel day and I have a post that's the coffee shops. I usually try to hit the record stores, the comic book stores, the bookstores. Uh, so maybe I'll start adding that in. But in the beginning, it's going to probably just be pictures of coffee shops and pictures of coffee. There's a lot of art involved in that, which I love. Then obviously the coffee culture around it that I love. So that's one of the things I think I'm going to add in. In order to do this, the way I'm doing it with my network, and this is something I want to suggest to you. It always seems so overwhelming jumping into that social media pool. And when we had our network before, number one, when we started, we knew nothing. I was remembering trying to, I remember asking people like even how Twitter worked. That is not a joke. I did not understand any of it. That was 11 years ago. And I have a funny story about that too that I'll share at the end. Uh, now I've realized exactly how a lot of this stuff works. I have a strategy. If you're high level and you're like, man, I post like crazy. Okay, here's a strategy on how you can work that to grow your audience, to get more attention, to give people the experience that they're really looking for. Right? Um, let's see who's writing me. Nope. Uh, but if you boil it down and you want to do basic, I've come up with a basic plan that I'm using for the new version of Southgate Media Group. The old version, because I didn't know what I was doing and I couldn't give clear direction, I couldn't get people to do what I wanted. I'd have an idea and say, hey, we need to do this. And I'd get a couple of people doing it, and a lot of them would just it would just go by the wayside. Now, these are requirements. We sign a contract between us. You're in the network, and here's what we need you to do. And these are real basic things. It's not like, oh my God, I can't handle this. But you might want to adapt this to whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a comic artist and you're an artist alley, take that business and say, okay, here's a very basic thing that I can do that will keep me in front of people. And it allows me, it allows me to grow in that space. So I don't expect you to hit the ground running and just like, bam, it's all working, right? Or it's a million things, because that's what scares people off. Oh my God, I don't understand Instagram or TikTok. And yet if I go in and I make a mistake, I'm dead in the water. Or I have to do 5 posts here, 5 posts here, 5 posts here, 5 posts here. How am I going to come up with enough content to be interesting and not just be annoying? Right. So here's the boil down that we're doing. And I'm going to recommend this to all of you. It doesn't have to be this, but it is a starting point. We tell them they have to be on 2 platforms. Okay. You want to make it easy? Instagram and Facebook are 2 platforms. If you do the Meta Suite, you set it up as a business, you can make your post in the Meta Suite and have it go to both Instagram and Facebook. Okay. Bare bones. You have to post 3 times a week, but you also have to have a bit of a strategy to it. So when I was talking about the strategy here, where I'm like, one of the days is pure entertainment. Entertainment being coffee, travel, interesting things we've seen out there. Now that does twofold. Okay. First of all, it's an entertainment post. You want to have an informative, educational post. You want to have an informative or a entertainment post if you're doing 3. And you want to have something that is a call to action. 3 basic posts every week. Okay. Now that is really bare bones. If you do that, and then you go back to that 80-20 rule where you go, okay, I've got my 3 posts, and then I go into Facebook and I find a cool post and share it. The 80-20 rule is 20% your original, 80% sharing other people's things. So if you think about it, that's like 3 posts a day that you have to share somebody else's thing. That's pretty easy. And you don't even have to do it in the same day. Just know if I'm doing 2 posts in a week, I need to find 8 other posts that I share. Now that may seem like a lot, but once you get going, it's really not. Find people that have an article about your subject. It doesn't have to be a Facebook post, right? Share articles. But if you find them on Facebook and you can get it so it points back to the other page, that's when people start taking notice. Oh, they're sharing my thing. I should follow them. Maybe they have something interesting that I want to post, right? So basic, basic, basic. 2 different platforms, 3 posts a week, and then do your best to do 20% being you, 80% shares. Now, when I talked about the coffee thing and those coffee shops, there is a reason other than I know I get activity when I post record stores and coffee shops, right? The reason is I tag these people. They start to become aware of me. I tell them when we were in this coffee shop, my wife and daughter told them about this show. They bought me the mug. They told them about this show. They said, ooh, the guys were really interested in it. They're like, oh, what is it? We gave them some information. But more importantly, I said, hey, I'm going to tag you guys. I'll do a post and tag this place. So watch for it. And they were like, oh, cool. So will it be a link to watch the show? It's like, yeah, we'll figure that out for you. It's a way to find people to interact with your stuff. So for Four Horsemen, I haven't launched this yet, but one of the pieces of content we're going to add, we've really stabilized. If you follow Four Horsemen on Facebook and Instagram, those are the most active. We're going to be adding back in Twitter and LinkedIn. Coming soon is going to be TikTok and Threads. Okay. But right now, Instagram and Facebook, you will see there's 3 to 5 posts every day. Okay. And they're all different. I'm going to be adding in like Fridays, going to be a featured indie bookshop. Why? Because we feature that indie bookshop. We make them aware that we featured them and that we wrote something nice about them. Eventually, they're going to start to know us. Oh, yeah. Remember that publisher made us their thing. Hey, we should look at their catalog. We should have a signing in our store. You don't do one shot and drop it. You do it, and then you interact with them. Let them know. This happened with our podcasting thing a lot. One of the tricks I used to use right in the beginning is, and it was used on me, which is why I knew it would work. Actually, I should tell how it worked on me. A guy who's a friend now, I noticed on Facebook that he and his partner had a show about the show Under the Dome, which was the first show officially in our network. We had it Under the Dome show with Maeve and I. And we had a small following. You know, we were thrilled. We thought it was awesome. Like, wow, we hit 100 listens in a month. That was a huge thing then. And I'm on Facebook, and because we were looking at Under the Dome stuff, we would get, their algorithm started triggering us for Under the Dome. And this thing pops up, and I'm like, did we post a quote that I said? No, it was another podcast. Took a quote that I had said and made a meme of it and put it on their thing and put our show on it. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen somebody do that. So I wrote to him and I said, hey, thanks. And they said, oh, man, we were going to reach out to you. We are huge fans of your show. It opened up a dialogue. Turns out he doesn't live that far from me. How weird. It was very strange. I mean, think about it. Podcasting can be international. He's 15 minutes from me. And he was like, oh my gosh, we love your show. We think you guys are so hilarious and so fun. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And he said, yeah, we made sure to promote your show. We loved this quote. We thought it was so funny. So we hope it's okay we did that. And I was like, for us, absolutely. If you took the quote and said it was you, that's not cool. If you put it up there and you put my show information and you say in the thing, these guys are fantastic. If you like our show, you're going to like their show. Guess what? It made me put it on a post and say, these guys are so cool. They did this, and listen to their show, subscribe to it, and give them a rating and review on iTunes. All right? That was so good for them and so good for us. So when I'm doing Indie Bookstore of the Month, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that little spark of magic where we put up their bookstore and we write a nice little thing like, oh my God, one of our authors lives in this area. It's their favorite bookstore. Everybody go in and check it out. Here's their address. And then we make them aware of it. And the ones that understand how this works will share it. They'll thank us. Hopefully they'll tell on their social media like, oh, we got a great shout out from Four Horsemen Publications. Thanks, guys. Whenever somebody writes a review of our stuff, there's a blogger who writes about our books all the time. She's just become a fan. It's called Mom Cat Reads, KAT, Mom Cat Reads. And she reviews our books a lot. She's not getting anything off of it, except every time she does, we make a post thanking her, saying how awesome the thing is, and you should subscribe to Mom Cat Reads. Now, in the beginning, before I started in on the social media with this, she was doing this and there was never any reciprocity. Now, it wasn't that they were jerks on this end. They just didn't know, hey, we could, like, they would occasionally post something, but we're making sure now our followers know about Mom Cat Reads. And Mom Cat Reads knows that we're acknowledging and sharing and trying to promote her. What did that do? I think it's made more reviews happen. And it's not manipulating whether they're good or bad. That's one thing that we won't play around with. If they're bad reviews, they're bad reviews. But what it did do is it's caused a little bit more of a symbiotic relationship. And that's what you want to create. You want to find those opportunities in what you're doing. And the only way you can really do that is, I mean, you can see if any, fish come swimming around you, or you could create it. Who has an audience I want to capture that would like my audience? If I do a strategic thing and I say, okay, Fridays, I'm doing this type of post that promotes them. And once again, you want to be honest about it. You want to promote them and not expect anything back. Hopefully it will. But if it doesn't, that bookstore is a jerk. That coffee shop's a jerk. No. Do it with love. I loved this coffee shop. If I get not one follow or listen out of it, I don't care. I promoted Archetype Coffee in Omaha, and it was great coffee, and the place was super cool. That's all honest. Do I hope something happens? Sure. But it wouldn't stop me from next week picking up my Archetype mug and saying, this place is awesome. I've done it on here. You guys have seen Contrast Coffee. They don't know who I am at all. But I have my Contrast mug once in a while and promote it. But when it's done right, when both parties understand, oh, this was positive for me, let me give a little back, it's the law of reciprocity. I remember I was working. I can't believe there are people in here and nobody said a word in the comments. You guys have questions, you write in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to keep filibustering. I was working a job, and there was one guy there, one of the management guys, who was like me. He was a bit of a let's read leadership book nerd. Let's talk about motivation nerd. And he really was trying. He really had a lot of good stuff he was going toward. And I remember one of the things he had was this book about reciprocity. And he was talking all about that. And in this job, it was hard to have reciprocity because we didn't have any social media. We couldn't do any of that kind of stuff. We were really just calling people, trying to get them involved in school, and that was it. But he would say, look, you want to give to this potential student, solve a problem for them, make them feel like, wow, I was heard. They're listening to what I need. And it can create reciprocity where they feel like, you know what? I got to answer that phone when they call. That guy did that for me. I got to do it for him or her or them. Probably easier to say them now. So, yeah, this is also that law of reciprocity. Some people understand it and get it, and some don't. But I think when you get it, when you ride in that stream, you have better results. When we talk about podcasting or blogging, I get people that, they put out a show, they put out a blog post, they do one, it goes out, they do one post, new episode. And then they think they're annoying if they say it again. Well, guess what? The average tweet, I don't know if this is still true, but for a long time, the average tweet had a 20-minute lifespan. Meaning after 20 minutes, you might as well have not done it because nobody's seeing it. It's because you scroll. Plus, there's a million people writing in there. You don't follow one person. Oh, look, they wrote, you know? So why would your stuff be annoying unless you're doing the same thing over and over? There was a guy that, one of our podcasters, we had a pod where there were 6 of us in the pod, and we had some rules to this pod where you could post once a day, whatever post you wanted to promote that day. Once a day, you could post something that is the specific post you want to do. And then the other 5 people had to share it. So if we're talking the 80-20 rule, automatic. You've automatically got those other posts you need, right? And we tried to match them up so their audiences would be similar. Listen to that voice go. Hold on. And this one guy kept posting the same post every day. And he would also sometimes do it a couple times a day, and I'd have to give him a brush back and say, no, it's once a day. And go, oh, yep, you're right. Sorry. I didn't pay attention. But it was the same post every day. First of all, the audience, that's boring. Think about it when you're on Facebook and you keep seeing the same thing, the same ad. It starts to just become noise and becomes annoying pretty quickly. So if you have an individual, if you have a friend that, hey, it's my daughter's birthday, and here's a picture of the birthday party. But every hour you post that same picture. Hey, it was my daughter's birthday. Let's wish her a happy birthday. Hey, it's my daughter's birthday. Let's wish her a happy birthday. And it's the same picture every hour or every couple hours. Annoying. And people are going to stop interacting with it. Same thing with your advertising. Change it up. So you post a podcast. Hey, it's my new episode. Here's the artwork for it, blah, blah, blah. What's something else you can do with it? Maybe different artwork? Maybe say something different? Definitely change the artwork then. And it could just be changing to like a solid colored background or whatever. It doesn't have to be show art. This is true with you with your blog. This is true with you with your business, with whatever. Advertising is different than this. And I think that's where people get tripped up. They think that they are advertising. And you're not. You're not an advertising agency. You're an individual sharing things and trying to get interest and engagement. And the same thing over and over, it's going to go away. Think about this show. I know I talk about some of the same things, but I do try to break it up. I do try to, come into it with ideas of what I'm going to talk about, right? That are different. I don't want to spend the whole time, every time, talking about Facebook or TikTok. Now, every few episodes, we're going to do TikTok or Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. With us launching our network, yeah, I'll mention it and mention things that are happening with it. But if I came here and every week I was like, here's the breakdown of Southgate Media Group, and I put up the Southgate Media Group logo, and that was it, guess what? Boring. You're not going to be here. You're not going to engage with it. Think about that with your business. And your business could be just brand you. Remember that. Now, if you're just saying like, oh, well, I'm a grandma and I want to be active on Facebook, it's okay if you keep posting those pictures of your grandkids. Try to change it up so it's not the same picture every time because people remember. They get bored. They're just not going to engage with your stuff. But when we're talking your business, you're an entrepreneur, and brand you is part of that mix. Brand me is part of this mix for sure. How do you change it up? Think about it. And that one piece of content, how many different ways can I splice it? There's a Gary Vaynerchuk. People love him, people hate him. He does have some really good things. One thing that I found really annoying, I got really excited about it because I tried it. And I was like, hey, this is something to try. Then I found out, yeah, it's something to try when you have a team of people. He did a thing where create a piece of content and splice it up into 100 pieces of content. Okay. Do you know how long that takes for an individual and how many different ways you can slice a pie? Sure, it's a great idea, But maybe take your piece of content and splice it into 10. What are 10 things I can do with this piece of content? I have a sale coming up this weekend. What are 10 things I can say around this sale? 10 different things I can do rather than just putting the flyer up that says, this is my sale. That's when it's going to work. Let's see. Advertisement is still treated in a newspaper's type way as being seen immediately, but not part of an overall message. Yeah, Pierre, you are right. This is the old paradigm of advertising. And yes, if you're doing newspaper advertising, absolutely. Right? Magazine advertising, you want to treat it that way, maybe. But the ones that really stand out are the ones that do capture this part of it, where there's the overall message and how do you integrate the whole thing. Now think about that. You start taking that message and your ad becomes part of the mix. So an ad, a well-done ad in a newspaper or a magazine can be very effective, right? But if you can leverage that into 9 other pieces of content, and what do those look like that are not the same thing? Now you've got an overall message. Now you've got something you can really work with. Once again, have a goal attached to it. Have a purpose to what you're doing. Have a strategy. When I was talking earlier about timing, have that thought out. When does that message happen? We've all seen these ads and heard about them where people did drip ads where they said, big white billboard and you go, it says coming soon, but it doesn't say anything. And then a week later, there's a tear in it and you get a little glimpse of something. Then maybe another tear. And it's like, wait, what's behind this thing? What are they trying to advertise? It's this drip advertising where they're getting you going like, ooh, I'm interested. What's going on there? You're almost doing that, but you're not being as overt as here's a cover and I'm revealing, right? We do it in book. When a new book covers, we do a reveal where it looks like brown paper, and then it rips some of it off, and a week later you show a little bit more, and then the third week, bam, cover reveal. We do that sometimes with Four Horsemen. We don't always do it, but it is a thing. But if all I did leading up to the book release was from then on show that book cover, boring. What are 10 different things I can do with that? And it doesn't mean 10 different things that are the same. Now we're getting into my ideas on this. Forget Gary Vaynerchuk. His idea is to take that piece of content and chop it up into 100 things. I'm saying take your core concept, take your overall message, and how do you break this up into 10 things? They can overlap. I don't want you to say, well, it's 10 sentences. So day one sentence, day two, sentence two. I mean, that might be a strategy, depending on what you're doing. But how do you break it up into 10 things? So for me, marketing this show. Once again, I haven't done much as far as marketing this. I sent out my Facebook thing. I'm working on it. If anyone's paying attention, I've put out 2 newsletters in the last couple weeks. I did one for Pour Over Marketing, and I did a Pour Over Marketing this week, and I did a mic drop the week before. Now, those that I posted, I really haven't done anything with, but now I can. Now I can say, okay, that Pour Over Marketing one, the Be the Squirrel one, which I don't know if you read that one, but I highly recommend it. In fact, I just dropped it. The actual Post-it note is here. Be the Squirrel. I can take that, and what are 10 pieces of content I can make around that? I can take a little bit of this audio from this show and make an audiogram, and now I can put that out on social media. I can go to Instagram and have a picture of me going like this. I can post the actual blog post. Do it as a long form. That's one of my secret things on there. Take Fridays and do a long form post. Long form post is where you take, let's say you've written 500 words or 1,000 words on a subject. It's a blog post or a segment in your newsletter. Take that, split it up into chunks. Okay. Put it across Twitter or Tumblr, wherever, and do the chunks. I wouldn't do it on like Facebook. Facebook, it's better to just put the whole article or just put part of it and put a link to where you want them to go. But on Twitter, where you're doing 140 characters, let's say, you can do 140 characters and then do the next post 140 characters, next post 140 characters to get your blog post out there in this long form thread. Works great on Tumblr, works great on well, it can work great on Instagram too. Really, Facebook is the only one that I would say no, strictly post part of it and do a link to where you want them to go, because that helps with your traffic too. People don't really like on Facebook when it's like, oh, here's part of the article and here's the next part. They like it on Twitter because they can scroll through. Threads works the same way. Instagram, you can chop it up. I have done for both of them, I have specific Facebook and Instagram posts that drive people back to it that show central themes. Another piece of content might be this. Another piece of content might be an audiogram. Another piece might be the entire thing. Another one might be a quote taken out of it. Another one might be a testimonial or something else related to it. Somebody writing in saying, yeah, that was a great idea. I am the squirrel. And I post that. Bob is the squirrel. Want to know what that means? Click on this link. I'm now creating more and more pieces of content around one central post that I did. That's what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be a post like that. What if it's just you have a great Instagram post that's showing you do car detailing and you took these great photos. You did an expensive car and you took a carousel of really killer pictures of this detailing job you did on this like $300,000 car, something ridiculous, right? Well, if you do one post and shows it out there, you got to hope that people saw it. And number one, number two, they took the time to scroll through it and they didn't just like quickly scroll through. You want to highlight it. So do that carousel if they have to scroll through. People like that. Maybe take a little piece of video off of it or create a video out of it. So it's not just something they scroll through, but they can just watch it going. Do a shot that describes what you use to detail it. Do a behind the scenes shot of you actually doing the detailing. That's one job, multiple pieces of content around it. You, the viewer, think about it. Would you be interested in that? If you say no, then you don't care about car detailing. But eventually you might. I know I've fallen in. How about that guy? The guy who does the thing where he fixes cement. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy, but he goes around to people's houses and he has a business where he will fix the like your driveway. He'll get all that green crap that grows up. He'll cut in, he'll do the edging, he'll do all this, and he'll take disasters and he'll just fix it. And he does it for free. He'll go up to a house and say, hey, can I clean this up for you? I'm a professional at it. I want to take video of it. Is that cool? And yeah, I mean, please, free labor to do that for me. Obviously, I haven't touched that in a while. And he'll make these videos of him doing that, right? He will do multiple pieces of content around it. Not 10 that I've seen, but he will do like before and after, one shot that's a before and an after. He'll do one that's the video, just a little clip of him doing it. Then he does a long form one that shows the whole thing. Do I care about edging and all that? No. I mean, I have to do it around here, but I don't really care about like that's not a business I want to get into, but I'll be damned if I don't end up watching his entire video. Obviously, I know about it because I know about the different pieces of content because you fall into it. It's interesting because he's showing you so many aspects of it and showing behind the scenes. And obviously, he really digs it. I mean, it's like people that like watching, people organizing things. Like, I'm not into that. But I end up watching some of the videos because it's like, oh, that's interesting. They did a few interesting things. That's cool. Do I turn it off and go, I need to organize? No. But like that, the guy that does the edging around the driveway, have I thought, oh, I wonder if I could get somebody to do that. He's not local for me, but maybe he is. Is he local? It works. It works. And he's doing reciprocity. He's giving it away for free. He's showing what he's doing. The reciprocity is they're allowing him to put it on the internet. I do this for you. Can you do this for me? Nobody has asked a question, only a Pierre comment. Anyone else have any questions? I would love to answer a question here. If not, I'll continue to filibuster. So, I did have a topic I wanted to talk about today, but I think we're going to run out of time before I can really talk about it. But maybe I will. Maybe I will just give it a brief thing here. So, last week, your filibuster is terrific. Well, thanks, Pierre. No question, you're on a roll. Thanks, Serena. Uh, so, okay, here's what I wanted to talk about. So you can never tell. I'm sitting here babbling about this. You guys might be sitting there doing something completely different and going, "Oh, I left that on. I didn't care what he was saying." Now I know you guys liked it. That matters. Uh, so the other thing that happened last week is every morning, as you know, I watch Bar Rescue, and Maeve came down. She usually goes up and is doing her thing in the morning, writing or whatever. And I had said, "Do you want to come down?" And she said, "Yeah, I do. I want to come down today." I said, "Oh, great." So she came down and we watched Bar Rescue together. And she is like me, business nerd. So we watch this thing and we're critiquing things and we're talking about it. And afterwards, she has this idea of a project we can do around it, which neither one of us at the end of the day really want to do. We just want to watch the show. But that's how our brains work. We create something out of everything we do. So we're not going to do that project. But out of that came the discussion about what do we see on this show and what do we see in our lives when I'm consulting with a business or when I've been in jobs where I'm like, it was a terrible job without knowing the exact stat. So Pierre, forgive me for not having the exact stat. Uh, I would say probably 90% of the time, the problem is the management or the owner. And that's a tough one to ingest as the person running things. Even if you're a small business, you're you're a musician, you've got a band, you want to get booked in places. Guess what? You're an entrepreneur, you're a business now. Sure, you can hire people on the outside, but at the end of the day, it's yours. And where do the breakdowns happen? Typically with you. And this is a hard thing to grip onto. When we had our store and we ultimately failed, there were a lot of outside factors and there were a lot of internal factors that played into that. But we did make it 5 years. We like to look at it and go, well, we did a lot of stuff right, which you should. You should celebrate the things you did right. But end of the day, ultimately, we failed because of us. A mistake here, a mistake there, not doing this, not firing this person we should have. When we watch Bar Rescue, he'll come in and like the one we were watching that day, the owners, well, it was one guy and then I think it was his brother. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But I think it was the brother contacted. In fact, I think I know this is the episode. The brother had contacted because the other brother, who's the owner, the place was going down in flames. And the main brother, the one who owned it, was trying all these different things. He'd been in business before. He had all these great ideas, yet it was going up in flames, right? And the other brother called John Taffer in for Bar Rescue, and he said, I see this stuff. My brother is not making the moves. I don't know what to do. John walks in, he starts talking to him, and the one brother, the main owner brother, we'll call him owner brother, is talking about all the things he has right, and John is asking him questions, and the guy is like, "I don't understand why this is failing, but blah, blah, blah." And then the other brother starts saying some of the things that he's getting wrong, and John immediately turns on the owner brother, and he says, "This is where your problem is. This brother knows you're not listening to him, but his ideas aren't all right, but you should be taking 20% of them and running with them because it would fix these things. Yet, the other brother with the 20% ideas, you're also the problem because you're not doing a damn thing to actually fix it. Your management here, you're saying he's tying your hands, but he's your brother, and he's saying to you, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you try this?" A lot of times it comes down to management. And Pierre, you are so right. It's about the mistakes that add up that kill a business. It's what happened to us, truly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, with our business, there were a lot of mistakes that added up. There was a lot we got right. So on the surface, you could say we were successful. Ultimately, we went bankrupt. And it was all those little mistakes that added up that got us there. And I take ownership on probably the two biggest ones. My fault. It happens. It happens. And was anybody giving me advice that got me out of it? No, Maeve was helping on the one. The other one, I had terrible advice from somebody that I was trusting. Once again, my fault. I should have cut that. As soon as I got the impression, hey, maybe this person doesn't know, or maybe I should have a second opinion, I didn't make that move. And that was my ultimate mistake that allowed me to make the fatal mistakes. My fault. So when we were watching Bar Rescue and we are watching how this is going down between these brothers, and we started talking about how 90% of the time it's the management, I think you as an entrepreneur need to look at what you're doing and say, okay, let's take a hard look at it. I'm now a consultant for my business. This is what Maeve does to me all the time. She'll say to me, okay, if it was Pierre's business, if Pierre was starting pour over marketing and you're not growing, what would you say to him? And what I say to him is very different than what I say to me, because what I say to me has the, yeah, but that's more time. I don't want to do that. Or no, I'm defensive. I'm getting that right. But if I look at Pierre's, I might say, no, here's a hard, cold look at it. It's coming out of love. You're making this mistake. And here's either the way you correct it or you need to find a way to correct it. And we do that fairly regularly with what we do. It's why we ultimately stopped the original Southgate Media Group. There were fatal flaws in this original plan that were not getting better. So it's easy to blame the podcasters and say, hey, they weren't motivated, they weren't doing their thing. But at the end of the day, it was really because of what I set up with them and what I didn't do with them to make it work. We stepped back from it, and over time, we kept talking about what were those things, and that's how we came up with SMG 2.0, where we realized, hey, we can course correct some major things, and we've answered the questions that ultimately hurt that original incarnation. Will there be more? Yeah. Are we going to need to continue to grow on it? Yes. But I know it was management that hurt it, and I know that came back to me ultimately. I'll own it. I'll humble myself, and let's keep moving on. Let's try to correct the mistakes. Little mistakes do add up. Even big mistakes and little mistakes together, they add up and they can kill a business. If you read Jim Collins' book, Why We Fail, he talks all about it. Talks all about these little mistakes that huge companies have made, little things that added up that ultimately, put the arrow in Achilles' heel. But if you're self-aware and you're addressing them and you're not afraid to humble yourself and say, hold on, is there a better way? Or what are we doing wrong? We used to have these meetings with our business all the time, and it was hard. The two of us sitting in a room talking about it endlessly, and we did get a lot of those things corrected. But ultimately, the things that were big that we couldn't correct, man, it was avoidance. It was It was fear that was stopping us. Fear. Now I look at it and I don't have the same fear. I look at my people that are with me as absolute gold, and I'm going to listen to them. And if they're not gold, we've designed an escape hatch, one that fixes one of my problems, which is I believe in everybody. I believe there's genius everywhere. And ultimately what ends up happening is I will believe in people to a fault. Now we have an escape hatch where it doesn't matter how much I believe. If you're not hitting these things, and I don't mean listens, but if you're not doing these things that we've preset, at 6 months, you're gone. And it doesn't bother me. And it shouldn't bother them because I'm not taking anything away from them. It's a way to correct a mistake that was costly to us in the beginning. From the outside, you never know it. From the inside, it was brutal. Hopefully, we've got that corrected. All right. We've hit 9 o'clock. I'm going to end it. I hope you guys like this one. This was, like I said, it was a lot of me. Next week we'll be back. I am working on some really fun, different things that are going to enhance this. I hope that what we got going does grow into what it should be, because I think this is a really fun, special thing. I get such good feedback from people, and I hope that it's making a difference for you guys. I hope that you're taking these ideas and doing something with them. And please reach out to me. And if you want to set up a free session with me, reach out to me. I'll send you my scheduler. I do a free session for consulting and coaching, where maybe you have a specific thing you want to consult on. Sure. Maybe you just need, how do I've got these roadblocks and I can't get past them. That's where the coaching comes in. Or you need a mix of them. Reach out to me. You guys know where to find me. And we'll set up a free session. It's not a timeshare. Just like this. I mean, I'm talking about it now because I care. I want you guys to have this opportunity. But at the same time, you can keep coming for free. Just know that's not as specific to you as it might be if we were doing a consulting or coaching. But if you want to do that, reach out to me. We do a free one. And then if I'm the right fit for you, if I can solve the problem or lead you to solving the problem or help you, then we talk about what is involved. For some people, it's single sessions. For some people, it's whole programs. For some people, I'm on a retainer. Whatever works for you, we can talk about it. And for some people, it's just that conversation. I just had one. I answered like 3 questions. I went, oh my God, that changed everything. Okay, they don't need me. If that doesn't work, or if they see, yeah, that worked, contact me back and let's do a session. So just so you guys know, I'm there. You can reach out to me. I would love to have you on. And to end things off, I get to put what I am so proud of. This was brought to you by Southgate Media Group. We're back. Have a great week, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to talk further. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and dodge those cicadas.